Just a few hours ago, we got the freshest set of updates from the GOAT himself, HomDGcat. He uncovered the new 5-star banner lineup rearrangement for 5.5, as well as the new changes to the 4-star coming in version 5.5. These banners are pretty much set in stone, 99.9% confirmed, so if you're planning your pulls, now's the time to start strategizing. But hold on, because there are some pretty interesting changes coming in 5.5 that almost no one seems to be talking about. And trust me, these aren't just minor tweaks, they're actual quality of life improvements that could make a huge difference in how we play the game. Either way, we've got a lot to cover in this video. Personally, I'm loving the new 4-star lineup, and I have a feeling some of these characters are going to be way too tempting to skip. Plus, there's an event in 5.5 that's handing out a free 4-star character, and you do not want to miss out on that. So, let's get into it. But hey, before we dive into things, I know for a fact that you need Primogems. And I'm here hosting a 10 Welkin giveaway at 3,000 subscribers. So now's the perfect time to snag a Welkin. All you have to do is like the video, comment, and subscribe. That way I can feel your presence. We're so close to 3,000, and trust me, I'm more than happy to throw some extra primos your way. And let's be real, the only reason I can go this crazy with the Welkin giveaways is thanks to lootbar.gg. I save 23% on every purchase, and you can too. Just the other day, I got a $100 Genesis Crystal Pack for only $79, an easy $21 saved, which I could use to get 4 more Welkins to spoil you guys even more. If you're feeling skeptical, don't worry, because they have so many positive reviews on their site, and I even use them to purchase the Welkins for my giveaway winners. They're also trusted by big creators like Dukaja and Tevat Times, and I'm adding to the list, bringing their credibility through the roof. Use my link in the description to get an extra 23% discount on your next purchase. Okay, let's get back to it. The banner lineup has been rearranged, but by not too much. The new confirmed lineup is now officially Xianyun and Zelonin in the first phase, with Venti and Varisa shifted to the second phase. With this banner lineup, Hoyoverse seems to have done something which will make pulling on these banners more valuable and reasonable. So far, we have confirmed the 4 stars for the first phase, one of them being Faruzan. And I have to let this known real quick that Faruzan isn't any ordinary 4-star, especially when we are talking about her constellations. So if you're planning to pull for Xianyun, or maybe you just have the Wanderer or Xiao as your DPS, then getting Faruzan is like killing 3 birds with a stone. Well, of course, I shouldn't just sit here raining praises without explaining why she's actually that good. So let's take a quick moment to go over her kit so that you'll know what to expect from her. The majority of her buffing capabilities comes from her burst called the Wind's Secret Ways. What this does is that Faruzan deploys a dazzling polyhedron that unleashes a whirlwind pulse. When the whirlwind pulse is unleashed, it will apply Perfidious Wind's Bale to nearby opponents, decreasing their anemo resistance by up to 40%. But this is just a mere 30% of Faruzan's full potential. She's got quite a lot in store because the whirlwind pulse will also apply Prayerful Wind's benefit to all nearby party members when it is unleashed, granting them an anemo damage bonus of up to 42%. But as you might have guessed, Hoyoverse had to add some salt with her C6, the Wondrous Path of Truth, which states that characters affected by the Wind's Secret Ways, Prayerful Wind's benefit, have 40% increased crit damage when they deal anemo damage. Also, when the active character deals damage while affected by Prayerful Wind's benefit, they will apply Pressurized Collapse to the opponent damaged. This effect can be triggered once every 3 seconds. This cooldown is shared between all party members. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is Pressurized Collapse? To put it simply, it's a vortex that pulls in nearby objects and opponents while dealing AoE anemo DMG. So basically, if you're pulling for any anemo DPS, she's a must-pull. Just drop her burst and watch the world burn. Of course, she's got her downside. As amazing as her buffs are, they only apply to anemo damage dealers. If you don't have one, then tough luck. She's not bringing much to the table for your team. That said, if you're running her with Kazuha, she still has some value since she lets him swirl elements while dishing out solid sub-DPS damage. So while she's not a universal buffer for anemo teams, she's a game changer. Next, we've got Gammon, a plunging attack-focused DPS that pairs insanely well with Xianyun. His kit revolves around his skill boosting his plunging attacks, which is perfect since Xianyun buffs plunging attacks too. Lastly, we have Yanfei. It's clear Hoyoverse actually put thought into this 4-star lineup, making it way more valuable than usual. With that covered, let's move on to the second phase banners before diving into the new game changes. For this phase, we've got Venti and Varisa, and as of now, the only confirmed 4-star is Iansan. Now here's something weird. Dahlia might not be making his debut in May 5th, and honestly, it kinda makes sense. We haven't seen a single leaked gameplay clip of him, which means Hoyoverse is keeping him under wraps for now. That said, the expected 4 stars for this phase are iansan and beidou, and between the two, the clear highlight is iansan. Now, I didn't go too deep into her kit in my last video, and after talking directly with some leakers, I found something that makes her a very worthy character, so let me share with you the juicy info. She buffs using the kinetic energy scale. This is a marker that follows the active character and boosts their attack, with a max ATK boost of 690. Hopefully Hoyoverse might tweak this cap in the future, but even as it is, it's a solid boost that could make her a valuable addition to your team. If iansan has less than 42 Night Soul points, then the buff scales off her attack and her Night Soul points. But if she has more than 42, then the buff is purely based on her attack. So ideally, you always want her above that 42-point threshold, and thankfully it's simple to do so. Here's where things get really interesting. Iansan's Night Soul mechanic is completely movement-based. Unlike most buffing supports, she doesn't just stand around throwing out buffs. Instead, you actually have to move to maintain her Night Soul points, making her the ultimate anti-circle impact character. No more standing in a tiny circle for buffs. Iansan wants you to keep moving. Now you might be wondering, what exactly counts as movement? Well, I reached out to some leakers, and here's the scoop. Even if you just stand still, your idle animation counts as a movement. Yeah, you heard that right. It's not much, but it still gives around +1 Night Soul point. Switching characters also counts. Doing your burst? Yep, that too. The amount of Night Soul points she'll generate is dependent on how much the character moves during their animation. For example, Barbara Own could be lower than Mavuika's. In summary, any kind of movement adds to her Night Soul points, not just running around. This insane synergy and completely unique design make her a one-of-a-kind support we've never seen before in Genshin. Alright, let's wrap up Iansan's kit with 3 key things you need to know if you're planning to pull for her. First up, Iansan heals and buffs with her Night Soul burst, and both her healing and buffs scale on attack. So if you're getting her, just stack ATK and watch the world burn. Literally. Second, she restores phlogiston whenever it drops below 50%, and this effect triggers every 10 seconds. The big question here is whether she only restores it for herself or for the whole party. We don't know for sure yet, but we're hoping it applies to everyone. Third, her C6 is cracked. It extends the marker duration and boosts damage whenever Iansan's Night Soul restoration exceeds the max. Basically, the more you move, the stronger she gets. At this point, she's basically Bennett's rebellious younger sister. Not quite as busted, but definitely bringing something fresh to the table. She's been getting a lot of comparisons to Bennett, and let's be real, she's not going to dethrone him. But if she can mimic even 80% of his impact, then that's already a win. And yeah, I get it. Saving Primos is pain, especially when Hoyoverse keeps dropping tempting banners. But with proper planning, you're guaranteed a successful pull. If you don't lose 50-50, of course. Now that we've covered banners and characters, let's move on to some big changes coming in 5.5. Starting with one you might already know about and then diving into some lesser-known ones. First up, the Artifact Transmuter is getting a massive buff. Starting from phase 1.5, when you select 2 substats, say crit rate and crit damage, your first 2 rolls are guaranteed to land on them. You won't be able to force it all onto just one stat, so no instant god rolls sadly, but it's still a huge improvement. Of course, in classic Hoyoverse fashion, they made sure it's not too convenient, because heaven forbid we get what we want too easily. With that said, this is your official call-out to save up your elixirs. They're basically worth more than gold at this point. We all know how painful it is to farm these things, so hoard them while you can. Now let's talk about the free 4-star character, Ororon, that every player will be getting in 5.5. But heads up, this won't be one of those log in and get a free character situations. If you miss the event, you simply won't get him. The event is called Competition of Glory and Glory, and as the name suggests, it's some sort of competition, but not necessarily PvP. It's set to be the main event in 5.5, offering not just Ororon, but also a Crown of Insight and character level-up materials. Missing this event is gonna hurt, so keep an eye out for it. Details are still in the shadows, but I'll update you guys when more leaks drop. Another quality of life change coming in 5.5 is something super simple, yet really useful: a quick exit button. Instead of just exiting the game outright, you'll now have 2 options. One to exit to the main menu so you can switch accounts if needed, and the other to quit the game entirely. Honestly, long overdue, but hey, at least Hoyoverse is throwing us a bone for once. Anyway, that's it for this video. Honestly, working on this was fun, and if you found it useful, consider subscribing. Not just to keep me motivated, but hey, maybe for that Welkin giveaway too. Either way, it's a win-win. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.